Good morning, folks. Good to have you here. And welcome to those of you joining us online. It's good to have you with us, and I'm sure some more will. The good news, there's a storm out, so not too much yard work's going to do them, but the dandelions have reared their head in my yard. A dozen of them or so, even though I put the pre-emergent down, but I haven't mowed the lawn yet. Anyway, want to welcome you. Before we get going, we're going to start after we do introductions of new folks. We are going to have Russ Lakis, then Lori Littledyke, then Ted MacArthur do announcements. And Brian, do you want one? Yeah. Okay, and then Brian. So keep that order. Russ, Lori, Ted, Brian. Anybody else? Okay. Would like to welcome anybody that's new. Anybody here newly licensed within the last since Christmas that hasn't been here? Yeah. Stand up. Tell us who you are.
Can you give them the mic?
Oh, I'm going to give you the mic. Hold on. I've been told to give you the mic.
My name is Dennis Peterson. I got my license about a month ago. And yeah, it was when we had a big group meeting here. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's KM7ELQ.
AMs now. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
What's your interest in the hobby?
This is I was down at a ultra marathon. A few years ago. My son ran this one, and then I've just been interested in it for quite some time. Yeah,
Time was right. Huh?
Yeah, timing was right. Yeah, I was in the military, and we used to, have to call forward observers to get some things done, and so just always wanted to get more involved.
Cool. And the name again?
Dennis Peterson.
Dennis Peterson. Well, get him a sticker. Well, welcome, Dennis. Anybody else recently licensed since Christmas that we haven't talked to? All right, who's here for the first time? Yeah, let me bring the mic over to you, and you can introduce yourself. Larry?
Yeah, Larry Gates from Smithfield. Moved here about a year and a half ago.
You have a license or working on it?
No, I technician class.
What's your call sign?
Kilo India 7 Papa November Romeo.
Okay, so we've heard you from Smithfield City check in.
There we go.
Okay. Anybody else here for the first time? You got to. We know you, but you've got to introduce yourself. Some of us know you. How's that? Yeah.
I'm Sean Starks, KC7LWK in Preston.
Sean has been the original instigator of the SSB net, right?
Yeah, I kind of brought up the idea
Yeah. And where are you living now?
in Preston.
You're in Preston. Well, good to have you here, Sean. It's good. Always hear your voice on the radio every once in a while. All right. Anybody else here for the first time? Okay, let's go in order. Russ, Lori, Ted, Brian.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm Russ Lakis, KE7VFI, for those of you that don't know me. We have a lot of events coming up this year. We call them public service events. They're bike and foot races that we support. These allow us to get out our gear, test it, try new things, practice emergency communications in pretty realistic scenarios. Right, Brian? Yeah, we get there. We always run out of toilet paper, and that's real. So, there are a couple events that I'm the liaison for: Little Red Riding Hood and Cash Grand Fondo. Little Red Riding Hood, it comes up on the first Saturday in June, and we need a lot of operators to support that event. So, if you haven't been involved with these types of events before, highly recommend going to our activities page. Also check for announcements on the Groups IO message list. We'll be sending out announcements for mine and a lot of other events as the year goes on. Please sign up for them, spread the word, because we definitely need operators to be helping with those. Little Red can take as many as about 80 volunteers just from our club. And that event is a complete volunteer organized and run event for about 450 volunteers. So we definitely need your help. There's a lot of ways that you can help support that event. Yeah. So, Lori.
Thanks, Russ. We're going to excuse Russ. He's got to go over and teach Brigham City how to do stuff.
Yeah. Jump in between events.
I am Laurie, KF7DKM, but I'm here for Olivia, who is the award-winning lead of our ladies group here at Bridgerland Amateur Radio Club, and she's asked me to make this message, give you this message. Now, I understand that there are only 2 of us who are absent a Y chromosome. However, some of you have wives who might be interested in just socializing, and that's what we're doing. The Ladies Spring Potluck is next Saturday, April 18th at noon at Suzanne Bunton's home in Clarkston. For those of you who were there last year, it's at the same home. Her address is 285 North, 200 West in Clarkston. We will be having pizza. Please bring a side or dessert to share with others. Carpooling is encouraged. And please invite other ladies, licensed and unlicensed, to come join with us in getting to know each other better. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with the grand town of Clarkston, if you are using Google to find Suzanne's home, you're going to have to cheat. In the address, instead of 285 North 200 West, you're going to need to put a 0 ahead of that 2 in 200, because Google doesn't like common sense. So you are going in Google Maps, you will put in 285 space N space 0200 space W, comma Clarkston. Now, we have a really good time. We don't talk only radio. We even talk what kind of purse so-and-so has, but we do talk a little bit of radio, and we have a good time. So please come. Ted.
Lori, let's make sure that address information gets out on groups.io with the, you know, how to put that 0.
I think Tyler put it out on the announcements.
He said that.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a couple things going on. Today at the fairgrounds is a family resource fair, and that is anyone interested in emergency communications or how to survive during a disaster. At this resource fair, it's all about that kind of stuff. It's not really a prepper thing, but it's like, where am I going to get food? Where am I going to get communications? And that's why we're there. That's why Tyler's not here, because it started at 10 also, and it's going to 5. So there is no cost. Go in there. There's all sorts of tables. There's, I think, the Red Cross and the Healthcare Coalition and all different groups that might have things you need in an emergency. So come down, and we'll be there the rest of the day. And then those of you that are involved with emergency communications in your cities or with your churches, this Thursday is the Great Utah Shakeout. And that's where the state helps plan or helps people think about earthquakes, how they can be safe, what you do during an earthquake to be safe. Along with that, our Aries group, our radio teams, do an exercise that evening, and we'll start at 6 o'clock. So if you're not involved with your church, see if you can find out how you can get involved, or if you need to get in with, if you're involved with your cities, we're going to do some WinLink. We're going to do some WinLink Post Office, WinLink peer-to-peer messaging. We'd like to get messages from your teams to the county, letting us know what your give us a situation report, and we have forms for that. So if you don't know how to get involved, get a hold of me or Tyler, and we can get you tied up with that. So, Brian.
Thank you. All right, a little caveat to Russ's stuff real quick, and for all races. If you know anybody that's medical, even if they don't want to be a ham radio and be cool like the rest of you guys, try and get some more medical people along. We could really use the help on that. That being said, we do have the crossover half marathon that's coming up here on May 9th. So it's next month, same day as the club meeting. We only need 2 more people to come out. So it's a great way to dust off your radios if you only really help out with events, or you just want to come out and do something that's like so stupidly easy that, you know, you might fall asleep while doing it. But it's a lot of fun. Get out, come help these guys, and that's about it. So 2 more people if we can.
You bet. Yeah, we do need help with all the events. We do 9 public service events as our club. We want folks from BARC in this valley to take all the places, because we're getting more and more hams who want to come up and do these events, right? And we'd rather keep them as much of it as we can for BARC members. So.
Okay, Stanley Willard has always done the Cache Valley Century for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. It's been handed off to me, folks. I've never done this. So I would love to have any and everybody who's willing to come help me get through this. Stanley's always been short of people, he told me. He has a hard time getting people to do it. I don't know why, but... Pardon?
There are 2 events that day.
Yeah, there's 2 events that day. That is true. And so I know some people do the top, and then they come down and help on the other one. But so give it some thought. Help everybody else on theirs, but this is my first year. Don't let me fail, okay?
When is it?
It's in August. I can't remember the exact date. So what day is it? 22nd?
22nd.
The events before we hit Loaded Jaw and the Bear 100.
Kind of like the last final before they go to the load up. Like the last
All right. Anybody else have any announcements? Okay, go ahead and hit the thing. All right, club membership, you can do that. Just so you know, there's 2 mailings that happen with BARC. One is the barkgroups.io. Anybody can be a member of that. You don't have to be a member of the club. Don't even need to be a ham radio operator. The other mailing list we maintain is club members, dues-paying club members, or the free memberships. If you got your license at a BARC test session, you're a technician, you get a free license for the rest of the year. That's a separate mailing list that pretty much just the newsletter comes out. And occasionally, it hasn't happened in a year, another announcement that's just for club members. But we pretty much do all announcements on the groups.io, the barkgroups.io. So everybody should be signed up on that, okay? Here's the club officers. If you're a club officer, raise your hand. All right, I'm going to quickly, Tammy is our secretary and takes care of treats. Dave on the board. Joseph on the board, Spencer on the board, Doug on the board, and Jason's on the board. We're missing our Vice President Tyler, who's down at the fairgrounds, as Ted said, manning the booth. And then Richard, our treasurer, is out of town. Okay? And I'm Kevin, Ted MacArthur, another board member, and past president. All right. License exams coming up Saturday, April 25th at 3 p.m. When it's at 3 p.m., that means there is some sort of training happening that morning, and that's the upcoming one-day ham class for general. So what it is you prepare by studying before you come to this. The group goes through and reviews every possible question that could be on the test, kind of a last kind of memory thing. It's a rapid fire day, and then you can take the test, okay? What's cool about the general, if you're a technician, the general gives you access to the HF bands. As a tech, you've got a couple of frequency allegations. You have some 10-meter SSB in CW. And then you also have, is it 80 meters? You have a little bit for digital. All right, Ted, you want to take this?
Okay, we talked about the shakeout in May, the third Tuesday in May. We'll have our Aries meeting, and we'll have a topic that goes with that. And anyone that's interested, you don't have, I mean, everyone here is welcome to come, and I don't know what the topic will be yet, a little far out, but it'll be something to do with emergency communications.
Thanks, Ted. Aries is our amateur radio emergency services side of BARC. Elmer night. Elmer means come and get help, ask questions. Doesn't matter if you're brand new and need your radio programmed or don't know what antenna to buy, or just want to come and listen. We also need people to come and help. That happens on even months, so it's the third Tuesday. So when we have a month, April is Elmer night, and then on that same night in May is Aries. They just rotate, okay? So Elmer night will be the 21st at 6:30 p.m. here. Usually goes till about 8:30, so we can get home in time for the Tuesday night net. All right. Public service activities. You can sign up online at barkonline.org/activities. If you're brand new, sign up. We have mobile radios and antennas the club does that we can check out to you if you don't have one of those yet, or if you want to be partnered with somebody at an aid station. For most activities, especially the bike rides and races, we are actually out on the course. We have a basic first aid kit, usually a pump, and something to help people along the route. We provide event communications, and we're there to help the participants have a safe, enjoyable event. We troubleshoot. If you're into MCOM, if you want to be into emergency communications, or you just want to be prepared in case there's a disaster, these events are for you. You really learn what your radio and you are capable of. And you'll go there and you'll go, oh yeah, I wish I had a clipboard and a pencil that worked, right? Or you'll say, you know what, my handy talkie, I need to get a better antenna, or an external antenna, or I need a headset, or I need a speaker mic because I couldn't hear. If you've ever done the cruising, which we haven't in a while, you could never hear. You were holding your radio like this, right? Unless you had a speaker mic. All right, but you can sign up there. We're on Facebook. We got a Facebook page, and we post announcements and things there, and you can ask questions there, in addition to the groups.io. This is the groups.io I was talking about. So if you're not on there, take a picture of that with your phone camera and get on that group, okay? All right. BARC Ladies Net is the second and fourth Tuesdays at 8 p.m. We tried to recruit some more gals last night at the Science Unwrapped. One of the spouses of one of our younger hams, she has her license. She said she doesn't do anything with it, and we said we have something for you to do every Tuesday night, or every second and fourth. The BARC VHF SSB net that Sean Starks talked about is Thursdays at 9 p.m. And the Northern Utah Technical Society digital net, if you got a digital radio, Sundays at 8 p.m. on Reflector 29C or local D-Star, and there's several other ways to get in. All right. Today, our topic will be digital radio hotspots, and we'll introduce that in a minute. Let me tell you what's coming up in May. May, you will not come here. You will go to the Rotary Pavilion down by Willow Park. The Rotary Pavilion, you know where the batting cages are and the softball fields down there, kind of kitty corner from Willow Park. We have that pavilion reserved, and we talked to Logan City. We didn't need an event permit. And we're going to have different tables showcasing different aspects of amateur radio, including digital. Scott, are you around that weekend? May 9th? I need somebody, we need a CW, somebody to demo CW. Okay. Can I touch base with you? How soon would you know, do you think? Okay. I'll touch base with you. We could use somebody to just demo CW. We'll have HF, we'll have a digital HF station. We'll have digital. We're going to get somebody to come and show GMRS and also mesh, tastic and stuff. If any of you are into those things and would set up there to do it. It's from 10 to noon, set up starting at 8 o'clock. We are going to announce it to the public about coming and learning about ham radio. It's just going to be a very casual social event. Go around, meet people, say hi, talk to people who are showing stuff. So we hope to have 10 or so different demonstrations. Joseph here is going to demonstrate how to crimp Anderson power pole connectors, and we will have cable and connectors, and if you want a cable made, he will make you one for free. Okay? No cost to you. One. Okay, that's a good idea.
What did he say?
But we need to get the info to the ARRL. Where do you do that at, Brent? Okay. Oh, for that weekly or that month, the newsletter that they? Okay. Yeah, we should do that. ARRL is named this year of the club, and they wanted people to do open houses in April. Now, we had already planned ours for May, hoping for better weather, before we learned about the ARRL wanting clubs to do it in April. So we'll do it in May. Kelby.
I noticed on the website that you've got a new site for field day. Is that correct? The information that's on the website is not correct?
Yes.
Oh, it is? You updated it?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, it is. We will be in Logan Canyon.
Down by Peter Seats.
That's our plan.
Okay.
We're going to go explore for sure. But we did it up at Lewiston, which worked, but it was hot. It was really, really hot. It was a great pavilion. It was, for those of us in Logan, it's about the same distance there as it is up Logan Canyon. So we're going to do it up in the woods and allow people to bring trailers and camp and stuff up there. So it will not be at Bear Lake. It'll be up in Logan Canyon. Peter Sinks is our goal. So stay tuned on where we'll be. Okay. For those of you new, Field Day is a 24-hour operating Saturday to noon to Sunday at noon. It happens the fourth full weekend of every June. The goal is to set up get off the grid and make as many contacts around the country as you can in Canada. And there'll be any club that's a real club participates in Field Day. And then on Sunday morning, it's all the 1 Deltas. That's people sitting in their underwear at their radio at their home, trying to make contacts with all the clubs because they were too lazy to go to Field Day. So anyway, fun time. You want to learn amateur radio? Come to Field Day. That's where I learned amateur radio. And I love Field Day. I missed a couple of BARC's Field Days only because I was at scout camp that week. Brian.
Are you guys still going to go up a few days early?
Yes. We'll probably go up a week, or some of them. We're going to talk to people who've got trailers in the club, see if they can bring them up early so we can save an area, which would be good. And we'll have porta potties up there, and we'll have our traditional 6 p.m. Saturday night potluck, and come to the potluck if you can't make it. But
So where we picked is the turnoff to Temple Peak, that area there. It's about 6 miles of a gravel road, but it's a very good road. There's no ruts. And we've kind of set that up. It's registered with the ARRL, and it's there's maps on our webpage and stuff, but you know where that's at, Brian. You're the one of the ones that just don't take your truck back up to the peak. Okay?
I mean, try not to break down up there.
okay, so if you could help out with May 9th, if you want to put up a table and show something, it can be anything that's related to ham radio or GMRS or mesh. The goal is just to show amateur radio, kind of like we've done with our antenna thing, and just have a casual fun time. It'll be our last official get-together club meeting until November, but we will have our July club breakfast, family breakfast, and we will have our potluck social in September 10th will be the date. It's always 2 days before Lodija, and that's a big event, potluck social where the club brings the meat and the drink and everybody brings sides. That's a fun event. And then October's our swap meet. So November is elections and our next real get together here after today. Okay. All right. Today we are blessed to have Chris Andrist, KC7 WSU. He lives in the Lehigh area. He causes trouble down there. Chris is one of the system visionaries and instigators of the DMR network within Utah. And he's presented here at the club before. It's been a couple of years, 2 or 3.
I think it was 5 or 6 years ago.
That long?
I just saw a presentation. I was like, oh, look, it's a BARC. I think it was also on Hotspots.
Was it good? And Chris is a frequent presenter at the Utah Digital Communications Conference. And so we asked him, he's a great explainer of things, to talk about what are digital hotspots and what do you use them for. And so Chris, turn it over to you. Join me in welcoming Chris Andrist.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about hotspots, right? So we will talk. So what is a hotspot, right? What does that mean? Who's heard the term hotspot before? So what does that really mean?
It's an access point.
It's an access point, right? So really the way that I look at a hotspot is it says hotspot bridges a short range, normally handheld to some sort of internet connected network, right? It can be analog, it can be digital. We'll talk about both. And normally the idea behind it is you're out of range of whatever system you want to talk to. Okay, so if that's hey, I'm not within range of a D-Star repeater, or I'm not within range of my local analog repeater, okay, you can use a hotspot that then bridges that. So what does that mean really, right? So normally the hotspot has a built-in transmitter of some sort. So it's got a radio transmitter, receives, transmits, and then normally connected to the internet, okay? So it takes you out, bridges your connection over the internet, and away you go. So why do we use one, right? Okay, normally it's you're out of range, okay? The one that we find a lot why people are using hotspots more than anything though, is that, especially in the digital world, maybe the type of digital flavor you're using isn't available right now, okay? So by show of hands, who here has a D-Star radio? Okay. Who has a Fusion radio? Couple. What about NXDN? DMR? P25. Okay. So there's all these different ones, right? But in this valley, how many of those exist? Does anybody know? 2 of those flavors, right? So we have 2. So if you are like, hey, I'm really into NXDN, like that's my jam, that's what I'm doing, or I'm into Tetra, right? Like you're probably not, we probably don't have one around. So what do? Buy a hotspot. Get a hotspot, you can talk into said hotspot and then connect into that network, okay? They're also great if you're traveling. You're just like, hey, I want to take my radio with me. I take my handheld, take my hotspot, away I go, right? I can be in the middle of nowhere with a Starlink, with a hotspot, my radio, do whatever I want, right? Okay. They're also, I think also with a hotspot for the majority of them, most of them that are, I would say inexpensive, require a little bit of technical expertise, okay? The ones that I would consider are plug and play, and you just plug it in, the whole thing works, are expensive, okay? You pay for convenience. So it gives you the opportunity to learn a little bit. Like, hey, I've never done this before. How do I flash a micro SD card? Okay. I may have to log into Linux. What does that look like? Have I ever done that before, right? Am I going to go watch a YouTube video and figure out? But it gives you a chance to kind of grow a little bit, figure something out that maybe you've never done before. Okay, configure it. So lots of different options. So let's talk analog hotspots. So who knows what some of the analog flavors are? What do we have out there?
Now that I'm on the spot, I can't remember. All-Star. All-Star, yeah.
So All-Star's one. Okay, there's like two more that are popular. IRLP, and then the third one that a lot of people use on their cell phone. Echolink, right? So you have these analog hotspots too. So one of the better ones that I consider is what's called a Sherry. So basically it's a hat that sits on top of a Raspberry Pi, has an analog transmitter in it. It's usually using an SA818 analog transmitter. And normally you can use All-Star with this or Echolink. Okay. You can't normally, IRLP is proprietary, so they have their own flavor of hardware, and it's dying faster than any of the other ones. So I'd recommend if you're doing it, pick up All-Star, pick up Echolink, right? The other thing that's really cool about All-Star, if you don't know, is All-Star enables you to bridge different technologies too, right? So with All-Star, say for example, you connected to a local repeater with your All-Star node. Okay, you could talk on that with RF. You could also connect your Echolink into that same hotspot, right? So now into this node, you have All-Star coming in and you have Echolink. So now you can use your phone, connect into the Echolink side, and then go out All-Star and go where you want to. So you can kind of steer this and you can play with it. So kind of a fun setup. And right, any digital radio out there also does analog. So you can use that. These Sherry boards are actually really inexpensive, about $60 or $70. Pre-made, you pop them right on top and away you go. So, and made by a ham, I forget his name, but great little units. There's also knockoff versions where somebody stole the whole PCB, recreated it, and you can find them for like $40 too if it's a little too expensive. But really inexpensive, really flexible. We use for Latoja, we use something very similar to this. We use this in Jackson Command. We have an All-Star node connected to another All-Star node at the Astoria repeater. So if you ever talked into Astoria and talked back to Jackson, we may be talking to you over RF. We might be talking to you over one of these exact nodes. Okay, it works great. We don't always know that we have line of sight into Astoria from Jackson Command. So we use it, right? Works great. Most people don't normally even know. They have no idea that that's what's happening. So great setup. Yeah, you want to connect two repeaters really easily. Great little hotspots. Questions so far? So digital hotspots, right? So now we get into digital, right? Most of these, the MMDVM, okay? In case you didn't know, MM stands for multi-mode, and it's a multi-mode digital voice modem. So the idea behind these is they will do pretty much, the newer boards will do all the digital flavors you can imagine, okay? DMR, D-Star, Fusion, P25, NXDN. They say YSF because that's technically not Fusion, right? But YSF is the flavor that it does. Okay. So the only bummer with the Fusion side, if you do that, is generally speaking, the Fusion side does not connect back into the WiresX network. It connects into an open source version of that network called YSF. So if you're trying to connect to a Fusion specific room, you won't be able to do it with the MMDVM. So, But like for us, with the Utah Digital Repeater Network, we're bridging our Fusion room with our YSF room. So then you will be able to talk back and forth depending on which one you're on. So if you're on the Yaesu side or if you're on the YSF side, you'll be able to do that. So these hotspots, right? Here's an example of one of the hotspots, okay? Little board sits on top of a Raspberry Pi. You'll notice most of these open source or these free ones all sit on top of a Raspberry Pi, right? Raspberry Pi is cheap, okay? They used to not be readily available. They are readily available again. We've caught up, I think, at this point from COVID finally. But super simple. They make ones like this that fit on the full-size one. I have several that are on like the little, does anybody use the Raspberry Pi Zeros? Ever seen those little tiny, looks like 3 or 4 postage stamps put together? So they make a little tiny board and you can put one right on top of it. Great little boxes. You can make one with the Raspberry Pi Zero for about 40 to 50 bucks. So that includes everything you need, the card, the board, the Raspberry Pi. So really simple, very cost effective. You can make fancier ones, 80, 150 bucks, and you can do all kinds of stuff. Okay. The other thing with these too is, with most of these hotspots, a lot of them have a built-in radio transmitter chip, but you could, if you had an old mobile radio, you can interface them to a mobile radio also. So if you wanted a little more distance and you want a little more range out of them, you could take an old mobile radio that you've got and convert it into a mobile hotspot. So it can be a little more expensive. It's a little extra work to do, but if you want that extra range, you can do it. So by far your cheapest way is MMDVM. And this is the one where you get a little more technical. You're going to have to download the software, install it, configure it, and get it all working. Okay. The great part, though, with this, too, is there's so many videos out on YouTube that shows you exactly step-by-step how to configure it, how to get it going, that even if it's your very first time, yeah, within probably about an hour, you can have the whole thing up and running. So next one is by a company called Clear, or ClearNode they call it. I believe it's like clearnode.com. So ClearNode's kind of an interesting design. It has a RF chip on it, but it does all of the digital modes, and it'll also do All-Star on it. So you can do both. So do digital or analog all in one hotspot. I would say the only real downside to this, if you'll notice, they can be between $300 to $500. They're kind of an expensive unit. They are, I would say, pretty close to plug and play. You like log into their website, you give them your call sign, you give them your information, and you plug the node in and it just kind of configures itself. It's still on a Raspberry Pi, but they have their own software that configures and runs the whole thing for you. So it is kind of slick. Doesn't require a whole lot, but you pay for that convenience. Okay. Next one that we have out is called the OpenSpot. So OpenSpot's really nice. It is also self-contained. It's digital only. Has a nice like web interface. Commercial project, pull it out of the box, everything's ready to go, it works great. One of the cool things with this one though too, that they have a version called the OpenSpot, I believe it's what they call it, OpenSpot 4 Pro. They have an app that you can run on your phone, and then you can actually talk on the digital networks without even having a radio. So you can take the OpenSpot with you to your hotel, whatever, use your phone, and it has like a PTT button on your phone, and you can actually talk on DMR, D-Star, Fusion, whatever you want. So you can key up and talk through your phone into the network. So it kind of gives you a nice, you can have both. You can use the RF side of it, or you can also use phone side of it.
Also does best on cross-platform.
It does. So if you're crossing, so like if you're like want to come in DMR and go out YSF, or you want to go D-Star to DMR, It does that too. The reason that is these ones actually have a built-in vocoder chip on the board. And so it can do all the cross conversions for you locally. It doesn't have to go out and do anything special. So really cool setup though. I personally own all of them with the exception of the Clear Node, right? They all do different things. So I own a Sherry, I own multiple MMDVMs, I own the OpenSpot. I think I'm on my 3rd OpenSpot. I had the version 1, I had the version 3, and now I've got the 4 Pro. So lots of different options, right? There isn't a best option. Sometimes the best option is your budget option. Sometimes the best option is ease of use. Hey, like that one's great, I plug and play and away we go. Yeah.
You have so many versions, you test them.
Yeah, because I like to tinker with stuff. I would say that's why I have them in general. The OpenSpot 2, the 1st gen OpenSpot, it was really nice for the simple fact that at the time, there wasn't really, the MMDVM wasn't readily available. It was a select people, and so that was really the only other option. So I bought it. And then I was like, hey, this is really cool. But the problem was at the time, it only did hardwired Ethernet, right? And so the 3 came out. Guess what the 3 had? Wi-Fi. So I was like, well, I guess I need one of those, right? So the new one came out. That's how they get you, right? They add a new feature. So the 3, and I was like, hey, this is really cool. I love it. I can throw it in my pocket. I can hotspot it to my phone, right? I can do all this stuff. Like, this is great. And then the new one came out with the vocoder where I could talk through my phone. I didn't have to have my radio on me. So I could put it in my backpack, and if something came up, it gave me more flexibility. Now I just had to have the box and my phone. I didn't always have to have my box and whatever radio I was playing with. So it's just kind of these like evolutions. The MMDVMs I love because there's a bunch of just cool stuff you can do that's like, hey, if it doesn't do it, I can write the software to do it. And I can make that work for me. So there's just lots of flexibility and different options. So I like options, I like to play. So I'd try them all out. But I'm just not interested in paying the money for the Clear Node.
That one also has a home built-in battery, charge it, and stick it in your pocket, and you don't need any cables.
Yeah, so that it is the only one that I know of that is battery powered. Well, I take that back. I've seen some MMDVMs that are now battery powered. They've got some like cool ones that have like displays on them and things like that. But yeah, so kind of a fun option. I do wish, and they'll probably do this to me eventually, right? Which is they'll come out with another OpenSpot that I really want. Because I love the Wi-Fi, but sometimes I would like the Ethernet port again. So I'm sure one day that the Ethernet port will come back and have Wi-Fi built in. Yes, Lori?
For those of us who do not have the time to examine all of these, we thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the OpenSpot. Questions?
What are the best practices or standard when it comes to selecting a frequency to run your hotspot?
That's a good question.
Meter input?
There are no rules. What? Well, there are no official rules, right? There is nothing in Part 97 that says where I have to put my hotspot, correct? Unless anybody knows anything new. But technically, there's nothing in Part 97 that says I have to use this frequency, right? So it is normally a simplex frequency. So what's normally the general standard within amateur radio on simplex frequencies?
Use the band plan.
Use the band plan. The other thing you'll hear a lot is it's a gentleman's agreement, which means what? Not anything goes. Yeah, you're not interfering with other people, and you're mindful of anybody else that might be using said frequency, right? But there is coordinated frequencies in the VHF and UHF band, correct? They're normally repeaters, okay? Are simplex frequencies coordinated? No, regardless of what the VHF Society tells you. They are not coordinated, right? They are under a gentleman's agreement, right? But it is our job to be good stewards, right? To not interfere. If somebody says, hey, we've been using this frequency for a long time, do you mind turning your hotspot off or moving somewhere else? Okay. We want to be mindful of that, right? The one thing to know is most of these put out between 10 to 25 milliwatts, which means normally how far are you going? 1 to 5 houses, right? So generally speaking, you're not causing a problem. However, if you do put it on an input of a repeater somewhere that does not have a PL tone, okay, it's possible that it hears well enough for you to open the carrier and cause a disturbance, right? And cause blips all the time, and they can't figure out why their machine's just constantly going berserk, right? Granted, they should have a PL tone, but we want to be mindful of that.
The other set of coordinated frequencies are satellite, the low part of the. Those are coordinated internationally. There
Correct.
are known hotspots issued on satellite.
Correct. Yes, because so the band plan does say which emissions types you're allowed, right? And so, yeah, you shouldn't violate the emission type that's already specified by Part 97, right? So yes, we do need to be mindful of that. There is, if you go to the VHF Society website, there is recommended hotspot frequencies, right? And you can use those. Generally speaking, they have, I think, 3 or 4 of them. Okay. The other thing to be mindful of is, say you have 3 or 4 hotspots. Please don't put them all in the same frequency, right? It may not seem like a big deal, but when that one time where you forget and turn 2 of them on at the same time, you cause this thing called looping. Especially in the D-Star, the DMR world, okay? So now one of them transmits, they both transmit, right? And they just keep sending data through the same frequency back and forth all the time, okay? So be mindful of that. If you've got more than one, I think in the UHF band, they list 3 frequencies. Yeah, please use more than one, okay? Put them on different frequencies, or be like, okay, my D-Star is, 435.5, and my other one is 440.5, or whatever the frequencies are, right? Use those so that you're not causing those types of issues.
Is there any other feature you can enable or set up for preventing a loopback condition because you don't know what your neighbor might be setting up for their hotspot?
There is. So on the MMDVM hotspots, there is ways that you can basically say the only traffic it will pass is my radio ID. And so like you can make it so only my call sign or my radio ID, I'm the owner of the hotspot, only my traffic will pass through. And so you'll prevent a lot of that looping. I don't think the OpenSpot or the ClearNode do that. I think that's only the MMDVMs. But that is kind of nice. It's great for you unless you take your said hotspot to some place, and then other people are like, "Hey Joe, why is your hotspot not working?" And you're like, "Because it's for me," right? And it doesn't. But yes, you can do that. You can prevent. That is one way to prevent, especially if it's just going to be at your house all the time and you're the only one using it. Turn that on. Great feature to just say, basically, it restricts only to your radio ID or your call sign.
Another great reason to use one. Say you do have a repeater that's close to you, but somebody else is using it, or you don't want to go in and change what somebody else might be wanting to listen to. It's now you're in charge of what talk group you want to go.
Yeah, definitely. So Ted was just saying that, yeah, say you have a scenario, and especially a lot of people I find get them when they're new to digital radios, right? They get a brand new D-Star radio, or they get a brand new Fusion or DMR, and they're like, hey, I want to try out all these things. But they're like, but I don't want to mess up the repeater, right? I don't want to, somebody's got some stuff going on with there. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to be the reason it's broken. It doesn't connect to the net or whatever. And so they don't want to do that, right? So it is a great way. It's a great way to experiment. It's a great way to play with it, to try it all out. Be like, hey, I want to test this one feature. Hey, does this work? I can talk on my hotspot. Oh, great, it works. I'll go find somebody else and we'll test all these things out. So it is a great way. You're not tying up a repeater. You're not tying up a time slot, whatever it may be. So yeah, it is your own, basically just that, right? Your own little private network to try it out. So yeah, great for experimenting. Great to figure out, hey, how does this actually do what it wants? Yeah. Any other questions?
My MMDVM
Yeah.
hotspot, when I interact with it on DMR,
Yeah.
obviously the radio sends the group number, and it connects to that group. And if I don't transmit again in something like 10 minutes or something, it cuts off the signal. Is that something that can be overridden?
You can. So on, at least on the DMR side, you can set static talk groups. And so that those ones, whenever your hotspot comes online, it'll automatically connect to those. And then the only reason it'll drop those is if you go over somewhere else. So especially if you're like, hey, I just want to listen to this talk group all the time, you can set them as static. So normally you do that on the back end side. So it would be like if it's Brandmeister, you'd go into like they have a Brandmeister portal.
Okay.
If it's Amcom, they have a portal too. You can do either one. So the other thing that's really cool, especially with a hotspot, and we're going to be doing that. Is the MTR set up here already? The multi-mode? No, not yet. So the other thing we're going to be doing is there's going to be a digital repeater here that will actually be linked to the Amcom DMR network, and it'll be linked to the Brandmeister DMR network at the same time. So use a technology called DMR Gateway, and basically you prefix your talk group. So if you're like, I want to talk on talk group 3149, which is the state of Utah. If you did like 1,000,03149, it would go to Brandmeister. Or if you did like, so basically you prefix it with a 1 out in front, it would go to one talk group, or if you prefixed it with a 5 or something, it would go to another talk group. So we'll set it up so that you can prefix it, and it'll basically steer you to different sets of different networks. So that's kind of a cool thing with a standard, like a Motorola or a Hytera repeater, like a full-fledged repeater. They don't allow that. They allow you to connect to one network and one network only. So the MMDVM will let you connect. I think you can connect up to, 6 different networks. So there's a new one called, I think it's called the America Network. You've got Amcom, you've got Brandmeister, you've got TGIF. So you could connect to all of these and just give them a prefix, right? And the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you could use all of them. You don't have to reprogram your hotspot. You just have it set up on your radio to use a different talk group. So kind of a cool setup. But in case you haven't figured out, the MMDVM is by far the most flexible, right? It can do all kinds of stuff. People come out with new stuff and new ideas and stuff for it all the time. So it is very flexible, especially if you want to play and do new stuff. Yeah, lots of different options there. Perfect. Anything else?
There are many MMDVMs that are also fully configured. You go buy them and you don't have to build them.
Right.
Like the Hotspot, others.
Yeah, then there's lots of kits. There's tons of different kits you can do. You don't have to buy all the pieces yourself. Once again, though, as soon as you buy a kit, right, you pay for convenience. You can build them. Yeah, I had a site up for a while. I haven't updated it in a while. The board that I was using got discontinued, and so I haven't updated it again. But yeah, the last one I did, I think it was $45. You could build an entire hotspot with everything you needed. And they're great too, little portable box. If you like to 3D print, that's fun too, right? There's all kinds of cases you can 3D print for them. Do all of that with them too. Yep. Anything else? No? All right. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris, for making it simple enough I can even understand it. A hotspot I bought at Dayton a few years ago. I need to update the MMDVM on it.
Yep.
So, anyway, anybody think of anything else we need to chat about? Okay, where will we be May 9th? If you're not helping with the half crossover?
Park.
Yeah, the park. Hopefully good weather. Come and just have a good casual social time and ask questions. We should have somebody with hotspots there, huh? So anyway, okay, that's it. I've got the club store back there. A couple of, we've got hats. If you want a hat, they're $18. There's 3 colors. You've seen some people not with these name badges, but with the black ones like Ken Lee has here. You can go online to the website and that link now works. The guy changed his website and our link was broken and Ted had to contact him to get it put back up. But if you want a name badge, you can do that. If you want a shirt with the BARC logo and your call sign on it, if you go down to Locker 42 on Main Street, they also have another name. The logo shop there on Main Street, South Main, they have our logo. And I just I bought a Oxford short sleeve shirt a week ago on Amazon and I took it in. You have to give them they're about a week and a half out. Usually you can't just take it in and pick it up the next day, but you can just go in and I think they charge you $10. Club doesn't make any money on these things. But if you want a badge or a logo if you want a logo on a shirt, go down to the logo shop and just tell them you want the BARC logo put on, and then you can also have the call sign put right above the logo if you want a shirt that has BARC. And the cool thing about it is you can buy a shirt there from them, or you can just, pick one up wherever. So anyway, all right. Thank you all for coming. If you want to get something from the club store, get back there because I'm going to leave a bit quicker than I usually do, but happy to help you get what you need. All right. Thanks. Thanks, Jason.